Good evening, and we are a little early from what we advertised because there's a lot of noise outside our studio. And we thought, well, we better go and take a look. And what's outside? Well, the crowds are beginning to gather. And indeed, the first of the Bonfire societies is ready to parade. The Bonfire night in Lewes, and we're just joining you for a few minutes because this activity is the early part of the evening. Actually, the main thing, it doesn't get underway until about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock because there are 6 different Bonfire societies in Lewes who each have their own traditions. They each have their own colors. They each have their own activities. They each have their own bonfires and fireworks displays afterwards, which makes for a magnificent spectacle. Perhaps the most magnificent of all is when the 5 come together and almost surlily join the Cliff Bonfire Society, who have always been independent of the main stream, as it were. And they march through the town in a quite magnificent display of fireworks, burning crosses, effigies, bands, you name it. It is there. And as you can see, the burning crosses are starting already to march down. And they are marching down, and you can't see it in the distance at the moment because the camera is reacting to the crosses, the burning crosses. But it all starts at the War Memorial, which is in the center of Lewes. And there is a serious purpose. Because even though it's an evening of fun and frivolity and games, there is a serious purpose. And each society pays tribute to the fallen of the 2 world wars. And they stop and they offer a prayer at the War Memorial before marching on their own particular route. In this case, down an area of Lewes called School Hill. It really is Lewes High Street. But there are 6 different groups, bonfire societies, represented in this grand pageant tonight, which is returning after having missed, because of COVID, any sort of display last year. And that gives you some idea, it's just a little taste of what we might expect throughout the evening. Now, we invite you to either look at something as interesting as this, as it all comes by, or me. And what we can do is we can have a little chat about things surrounding the Bonfire societies and indeed the whole ceremony of November the 5th. Why is it so big? Why is it so different? Well, there is quite a history, and it is in subsections. And I'm pausing because the man that I couldn't do without, Tony, is saying, do this, Keith, do that, Keith, because he knows that when it comes to technicalities, I must stick as 2 short facts. So this is what we have in store for you this evening. And because it is non-stop, we have to go non-stop. And we hadn't planned to really come on just yet. But we thought, because there is a lot of noise outside, and because they are marching with their banners, with torchlights, with burning crosses, and eventually with stuffed effigies, so that we would just satisfy our curiosity to see what was going on outside. and also perhaps if you've tuned in to satisfy your curiosity as well. So there we are. This is the scene, and this is where all the action takes place. Our camera is pointed to the war memorial, and just about everything that happens has to come past here. And you can see that the appeal has been, please don't come to Lewes because of COVID. And it doesn't look as if there are many people who have paid much of attention to that. I'm not sure whether right now the drums are beating right past our studio window. The crowds are streaming down. They tend to move around and move after the parades and the processions throughout the evening until the main parade, which is so joined up that the crowds have to stay on the sidelines so they should. So, Bonfire 21, a celebration of a number of things based on the memorial, I suppose, if that's the right word, to conspirator Guy Fawkes, who tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament. And it was all a religious thing. And he got caught before he could actually put his flag onto the lead that would have led to the powder kegs. And that celebration is nationwide. But here in Lewes, it goes deeper than that. It's partly historical, in the sense that some years prior, about 30 years prior, the people of Lewes celebrated the death of Queen Mary the first queen that Britain ever had. And she was not a particularly nasty piece of work, but she was absolutely dedicated to restoring the Roman Catholic faith and would stop at nothing. And throughout the country, she burned at the stake those people who would not convert back to Roman Catholicism. So the country was absolutely torn in two. And 17 of those people, now known as the martyrs, were brought out, having spent the night in a dungeon, which can still be seen. It's up that road, just beyond what you can see as a traffic light, is the dungeon in which they were held. It's now the town hall. They were led out. They were put into tar barrels, a particularly nasty, nasty way to die. And they were set alight. And 17 of them here in Lewes died at the stake. And so when Queen Mary died, the people of Lewes, who tended towards Protestantism anyway, and in fact took the part of Cromwell, the prods, if you want, in the English Civil War, wanted to celebrate the fact that the nasty Queen was dead. And they did. And it is said in some of the history books that the bells rang and that the rousers banged. And a rouser is a firework that you and I might well call a banger. Well, that's what is going to come this evening. And this is just a little taste of that. And I hope that you'll join us. And as we go through the evening, and when we come back at 6 o'clock, we will stay with you right through until the last torch is carried, the last banger is banged, and the crowds and the bonfire celebrants go out to their various bonfire sites where the evening hasn't ended. they actually have the most magnificent displays of fireworks that one can imagine. We do have a few correspondents scattered around the town to try and bring us bits and pieces. We haven't tried this before. This is our first attempt. So whether in fact some of those will come in and give us a feel for what's happening outside this particular camera, I have no idea. But the one thing you can guarantee that if you stick with us, that you will see just about every bonfire boy, every firework, every stuffed effigy, and absolutely everything that's going on through this. I flicked something there. Oh dear, dear, dear. So I would ask you to join me in about half an hour's time, and we will start our non-stop. You know, when you go across Eastern Europe, is what they mean by open all hours is they say non-stop. So the story is non-stop. It means it's open all hours. All right, then we will return in approximately 30 minutes' time. Please join us, and we will start our full coverage of this part of the United Kingdom, where the bonfire societies, the people of Lewes, the people who have rolled into Lewes, and we at Mirador Television, along with our friends up at Rocket Radio, and I think that a good friend down in the precinct is also trying to stream some of the events this evening. So one way or another, you can see just about everything. Security is tight. If you come into the town, in fact, this morning, as I walked down to the office, people were banging with their nails and putting up sheets of wood across the windows of their stores and their shops. And the reason they do that is not because people go wild, although the riot act was read on one occasion way back in the 1800s when the Bonfire boys got out of hand. They were a pretty feisty lot back in those days. Pretty feisty lot now, but they don't go around banging or breaking windows. But the surge of crowds, the pressure, can sometimes damage the front of buildings, the front of shops, and that's why those buildings are protected. All right. Excitement, and we'll actually take a break. We'll come back to you, and then if you're in it for the duration, you're with us, or we're with you. For the moment. Toodle, toodle, pip.